Devlin, Untamed.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The Platform.
iOS, it's only sport. Martin Devlin, Lachlan War. We do a 3-hour live show on the platform every afternoon. This is the highlights package of... Put together a few snippets from some of the interviews we've done today, a little bit of chat, just essentially celebrating sport and corralling together the sports news of the day for you in this podcast package. Tiger Woods has spoken publicly for the first time since the Masters in April. He says he will keep playing till he thinks he can't win. Brendan Telfer on the podcasts. He's our golf guru. He says, Tiger who? He says, I'm over Tiger. He says, Tiger's yesterday's man. I say, please tell, who's the face of golf? It's still that guy. Blah, 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 blah. Miles Davis joining us talking blah, blah about the VAR because controversy again in the Champions League today. Newcastle United, were they robbed? PSG got a penalty in the 98th minute. Well, you have a look at the footage. In real time, I say, no, that's not a penalty. But when you frame by frame it and slow it down, I think, oh, okay, it might be a penalty. However, you probably completely disagree looking at the same footage. And that's the problem, isn't it? Technology's meant to solve all of this. But when humans are in control of the technology, well, we're back to square one because no one can agree on anything to do with it. Ben Sawyer, White Ferns coach on the program as well. He calls it uncomfortable, this balance between playing Big Bash franchise cricket and turning out for the White Ferns. Yeah, Amelia Kerr and Sophie Devine, our two best players. Well, one of them is going to miss the start of the ODI and T20 series against Pakistan because they've chosen to play for the big bucks as opposed to turning out for their country. I don't know if you like it. I don't. I certainly don't like it. And I don't like the way that it has just been so easily accepted by New Zealand cricket that this is now the case. You know, if you want to play for the Silver Fern, then play it. Stop all this rhetoric about, oh, it's so important to play for my country. What's important quite clearly is your bank balance, and you've chosen that. As well as, speaking cricket, Simon Doull in Abu Dhabi calling the what? The tens? How many bloody formats do you have, mate? As always, we begin the show, tablets in hand. I say gather my flock. It is time for a sermon. Cricket tens? What the hell? Let's go to the mountaintop.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
Is cricket getting ridiculous? Yes. The answer is yes. A T10 tournament? Have you heard about this? What, a T10 tournament? Come on. We've already got enough limited overs versions of the game, haven't we? The answer to that is yes, 50 overs, as evidenced by the recent One-Day Cricket World Cup. Still plenty of juice left in that particular lemon, clearly. And then there's T20, which is now arguably the main form of the game, certainly the one that generates all the cash to pay for and subsidise the other formats still being played. T20 franchise cricket is now the cricket of choice for every player out there. It's where you make your major money. You think about it. Who even plays long-form cricket these days? The Plunket Shield here in New Zealand, is it still even played? Yes, it is. When? Who? Where? If Henry Nicholls hadn't have scraped the ball with his helmet 2 weeks ago, Canterbury versus Auckland, would you even know that it was on at the moment? Then there's the Sheffield Shield in Oz, county cricket in England, but what else? Who, unless you're a complete cricket numpty, would even know? T20 devolved or evolved into 100. That's a pro comp in England where both teams bowl 100 balls, slightly shorter than T20, 16.4 overs a side to be precise. Gimmicky as all hell, but it's yet another professional competition over there. And now there's tens. Simon Doull joins us after 3 o'clock. He's in Abu Dhabi at the moment commentating this tens tournament. Today's match, the Northern Warriors versus Samp Army. NW versus SA. What? Jimmy Neesham was playing. Moeen Ali was playing. Colin Munro. Angelo Matthews. These are all familiar or semi-familiar names on the international scene or have been over the last few years. Tens? That's 2 overs for each bowler. The whole match lasts about 90 minutes. Are you for real cricket? What is next? I know. This is brilliant. How about the Thrash? A brand new competition called the Thrash. 1 ball each. Whoever clears the boundary wins. I mean, I'm not being stupid. I mean, if tens is actually real, how far away are we from just having a complete hit and giggle where everyone gets one shot at it and once you've gone through your batting line, whoever has the most runs at the end of it wins? Would you watch? How utterly stupid. Why should you, me, or anyone care? And what does it say about the future of the long forms of the game? It says that they are slowly being squeezed out, slowly being put to the place where they'll be confined to history like oranges at halftime in the rugby. Cricket is driving itself down a dead-end street. Too many tournaments, too many formats, and most of it means absolutely nothing. So much of it is so utterly forgettable. T20, sure. 100, maybe accept. But 10s? Is it really cricket? Because it sounds to me just like some manufactured, promotional, ad wank marketing guy. Total and utter gimmick.
Devlin.
What do you want? We want information. Information. You won't get it.
The platform.
Headlines are locking. Before we go, back to Rahul.
Yeah, I'll start off with the Black Caps and the cricket. I guess overnight. When would it have finished? It would have finished around midnight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always fell asleep at it. I always fall asleep.
Yeah, I watched bits and pieces of it. Day one is in the books in the opening test between Bangladesh and New Zealand in Sylhet. The host have put together a handy total at 310 through 85 overs, but the Black Caps only need one more wicket to dismiss their opponent from their first innings. Glenn Phillips, the pick of the bowlers, strangely. Nothing against Glenn Phillips, but when you think of test bowlers, New Zealand test bowlers taken 4 for 53, you don't probably think of Glenn Phillips first, do you? But he did, 4 for 53, not bad.
Rahul certainly didn't.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, but the good thing is he's going to front up and face up to that in a few minutes.
Kyle Jameson and AJ Patel each taking 2 wickets as well. Day 2 begins around about 4:30 p.m. Sticking with cricket, Glenn Maxwell's blistering century trumped India opener Ruturaj Gaikwad's unbeaten 123 as Australia clinched a last ball victory in a thrilling third T20 international to stay alive in the 5-match series. India were up 2-0, but now they're up 2-1. So 2 more to go on that one. Champions League matches this morning.
Champions League.
Yes. Newcastle PSG. Newcastle went ahead in the first half. Really good goal. I saw the replay of it from Alexander Isak. They're up 1-0 for pretty much the entirety of the match in the end, really. 24th minute he scored, Isak. And the numbers, look at this, 31 shots in total for PSG. So Newcastle's 5.
How many on target though, mate?
Well, 7. Only 7 of those on target. 73% possession. But Newcastle led, as I say, for most of that match up until the 98th minute when Kylian Mbappe converted a penalty from the spot. Very contentious penalty. Was it a handball? Was it not a handball? I don't think it was. And I think a lot of people don't think it was either. A lot of chatter on Twitter about that being a poor decision. But 1-1 in the end between PSG and Newcastle. Dortmund beating Milan. They qualify for the next round. Man City coming from 2-0 down to beat Leipzig 3-2 at home. Barcelona came from 1-0 down to beat Porto 2-1. Lazio winning. Shakhtar winning. Atletico Madrid winning. In terms of the tables involving the English clubs, the ones that have played at least, Newcastle and Man City. Man City are already through.
Yeah, they were through last week, mate. Yeah.
They've now won 5 from 5, plus 10 goals difference. Newcastle are third in their group. Only 2 points off PSG, who are second. So should Newcastle win their final game and PSG draw, I mean, that could get Newcastle through. They'd probably ideally win and PSG lose. Dortmund are already through, as I say.
So how does it go? Is it head-to-head results between the two teams?
I would have thought goals difference.
Yeah, I'm not sure. All right.
Because
if that's the case, Newcastle just got to beat Milan, who've got nothing to play for, and if PSG only draw against Dortmund, they would get through because...
Well, Newcastle would need to win they'd need to win by 2 goals because they're down 1 in goals difference. Not if it's head-to-head because they drew and beat PSG. Yeah. 5 New Zealand Rugby League stars have made the shortlist for the Golden Boot International Player of the Year award. Kiwi Ferns trio Georgia Hale, Meli Hufanga and Api Nichols. And in the men's category, Kiwis captain James Fisher-Harris along with Joe Tarpany. They are the 5 in contention for the 2 awards, 3 women and 2 men. New Zealand Rugby should reconsider its position of restricting players to represent the All Blacks while based abroad. This from Captain Sam Cane.
Yeah.
Direct quotes here from Kane. A lot of the Springboks have shown the ability to play in League One and go back to international rugby fairly quickly and continue to play their best. The challenge for us who are on the shorter term deals in the hope of playing international rugby again is that we play really well here. Should we get the opportunity to represent the All Blacks again, we've got to show we've improved our games. If not, kick off where we left off. New Zealand Rugby Players Association Chief Executive Rob Nichol has warned that any watering down of the recommendations made by the governance review into New Zealand Rugby simply won't wash with the players, describing that review as a fork in the road moment for the game. All Black Centurion Owen Franks will return to the Crusaders in 2024.
Big Owen.
Signing on to play next season for the side he once called home, will call home again, and very much made his name. Golf news, Tiger Woods has said he'll continue to play for as long as he thinks he can still win. As he prepares to return to professional golf, Woods will play on the Hero World Challenge in the Bahamas, having not played since injury forced him to withdraw partway through the Masters way back in April. 15-time major winner then had fusion surgery on a bone in his ankle. Ugh. This is what he had to say at a press conference. There will come a time when I can no longer win. When that time comes, I will walk away. I love to compete. I love the camaraderie, being around the guys. More in golf. World number 2 Rory McIlroy has beaten Tiger Woods to the PGA Tour's $15 million, which is 11.9 million pounds. That prize for generating the most media interest in 2023. So you can earn just under £12 million simply just by generating the most media interest. Gee whiz. It's quite incredible.
Devlin,
That is a disgusting act.
the platform.
Miles Davis. He is our expert on absolutely everything. Well, he basically is. Big, loudmouth pommy git that I've known for a very long time now, 25 years. Loves his sport, loves his football, hates the VAR. Why? Have a listen, blah, 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 blah. Champions League. Controversy in Paris, a 98th minute penalty from Kylian Mbappe. Newcastle were probably through with the 1-0, but there's going to be much debate about that one. Was it handball? Did it deserve a penalty?
Well, I mean, who knows what the handball rule is nowadays? And to be perfectly honest, wasn't VR meant to take away all those contentious decisions?
Meant to.
And it's just got worse.
Yeah.
I think referees on their own, when they made decisions, were actually making better decisions than VAR's making.
Oh, look, give us your attitude towards it again, because I always quote this, actually. It's about the only thing you've ever said I've ever stolen off you, actually, but I actually think it's a really...
Okay. I thought it was the only thing you hadn't stolen off me. But, I mean, you know that the thing is that there's so... I think it creates a worse game. You know, like, if, for instance, when the ball hits the back of the net, the only thing you ever did was have a quick glance at the linesman, and that was only after you'd already erupted.
Yeah.
Now, no one, the players, no one, you can't, you're just waiting for it to go through this ridiculous rigmarole. Let's go back to halfway. So it takes that passion out of the game. It also takes away the sort of character-building nature of sport. And I don't give a shit about, sorry, rude word, I don't give a monkeys about the fact that, there's lots of money at stake. That's no reason for it to be changed. What, they don't need character building? I think they need more character building than £300,000 a week, turning them into spoiled, entitled brats. You know, so it takes that way. And the fact is, and I said this, I was talking on Twitter last night to my dear friend Psycho, David Cross, former West Ham United player, and he was objecting to VAR. Football is an art. It's not a science. You know what I mean? So, it's artistic. There's going to be brushstrokes going this way and that way. People will make little mistakes. You know? It's not like, get your slide rule out, your Napier's logarithms, and let's work out exactly what it is. It's more fluid than that. It's a performance. And I think that all the technology ruins it. If I had to keep any, I'd keep the run-outs in cricket.
Yep.
Keep it for run-outs in cricket and goal line technology in football.
Yeah.
And not have it anywhere in rugby.
Oh, I'd have it for foul play, so actual real foul play. Like if somebody stopped...
No, just if you don't get caught doing it, well done. And the thing is,
that's life,
if you don't get caught for doing it, the other people know you've done it, so they can get you back without getting caught the next ruck. So, seriously, it's just too much, it's foul. And what is foul play? I still think of Tom Curry getting bloody suspended for 3 games for a guy dropping on him as he goes to tackle him. It's about 2 inches from the ground, and they just clash heads. And he's gone for 3 games. There was no intent. It wasn't foul play. It's farcical.
Our good old friend, Mr. Telfer, used to sneer down his nose, you and your friend Davis. Remember when he didn't want us to come and play golf in the footy?
He's one of the elite, you see, Brendan.
Right.
And he's another one of those people. Do you remember when we used to walk into the offices at Radio Sport, we all had to bow to him? I know, you curtsied. That's right, you curtsied, didn't you? That's right. But remember we did, because he was like, he's royalty.
Well, 27 or 25 years.
I'll just quickly tell you that the story that a lot of people don't know, you probably know, so I think I've told you before, and you've probably used it as yours. But in 1976, when him and Keith Quinn went over to Montreal to cover the
Olympic Games, yeah.
they were going to go over to South Africa afterward. Andy Leslie and his boys were there, and the Africans had boycotted the Olympic Games in Canada because the All Blacks were going over there.
That's right.
So the Canadians weren't fond of the Kiwis at all. They hate them. Said, you've ruined it. All these great middle distance runners from Africa aren't coming here. You're the bastards. Says, do you know what Telfer and Quinn did? They pretended to be Australian.
No.
Now next time you're talking to Telfer,
I'm going to bring that up. I'm going to bring that up.
Reminded, bring it up, mate.
Look, let's talk about the VAR, because the Wolves-Fulham game, again, ended in controversy as well. And you've also got this thing about character building, don't you? About in life actually isn't fair. And you can't actually deconstruct it and go, well, hang on a second. My brother stole my toy before I stole his toy, and he pulled my hair before I did. We'll both go to your bedroom and both bloody sort it out, right?
Yeah, that's the whole point about it. You learn to live with those decisions. And hey, we're allowed, as fans, we're allowed to moan. But if you're actually in the middle of the battle, you either suck it up or you get penalised. And I really want to see more of. And I still don't think they've done it. The way players talk to referees,
I know.
They should be off the field.
Should be.
Forget lawyers, forget clubs moaning. These are the rules. You must respect the officials. If you don't, I was pretty bad. I was quite sarcastic, and I'd give referees stick all the time. But I'd expect to get sent off. You
got sent off in one of the last few games you played, I remember. But no, actually, what was that one where the newspaper came? You got sent off when your son was playing.
I did get sent off. I did get sent off in the game where we played the Auckland women. Remember, we played them out at
Metro.
The Metro, yeah, it was Metro. And the guy who I was the only person who got sent off, but the guy who sent me off was the guy who owned that dodgy pawn shop down in Gay Road.
That's right. He was our ref. But weren't you on the sideline? I remember you on the front page of the paper, the Dominion, at that stage, wasn't it? Because what happened? Oh,
no, that's a different one. That's when my son got sent off. Playing for Karori against Wellington United. And as he came off, he got booked for moaning at the referee and for giving a penalty, which should never be a penalty. And when they scored, he said something else. He got sent off. And when he came off, I said to him, "You're a bloody idiot, mate." He said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Dad. I know I lost my rag and blah, blah, blah." I said that. But that was the only correct decision the referee made in the second half. So when he came off, I said, "Ref, what on earth happened to you at half-time?" I said, "That was awful, that second half." Everyone on the sideline was complaining about it from both sides. And he just stepped out of his way and barged into me. And suddenly it was all, I didn't react to it, but all the people around, my son, I had to drag him back, the Wellington play, it was all on. And then someone rang the police and said the next thing, I'd left. I went into the dressing room to apologise to the referee. He didn't want to have a bar of it. They called the police down. And I'd left the ground with my other kids. We'd gone, and the next thing I'm getting rung up by Jonathan Milmo. I'm in the front page of the Dominion. Holmes rings up TV3. I'm on TV3 doing a reenactment of it on the scene. The police ring me and they say, I tell them a story. I said, yeah, that's basically what we've got. No problem, no further action. But then the guy in charge, inspector in charge at Kilburney Station, rings me again and said, no, it's not down to them. And he gives us this big lecture. And 2 years later, I'm in the pub and this group of guys next to me said, "You're Mars." I said, we're cops. We work down at Kilburney Station, mate. What an idiot that boss is that. And they bought me drinks all night.
White Ferns coach Ben Sawyer. Now, in this little excerpt, count the amount of times that Ben says uncomfortable. It is a thorny topic. It is an awkward topic. It is about whether or not our leading female cricketers should be committed to playing for our country as opposed to chasing the big bucks, playing for, in this case, the Big Bash, because Amelia Kerr and Sophie Devine have a game tonight. And the winner of this goes through to the Women's Big Bash League final. But it means that one of them is going to miss the start of the series against Pakistan. It's already happened with the men. It's happened over years. And it's not something that personally I like and I'll ever get used to. and I will ever accept. You want to play for your country, play for your country. You don't want to play for your country, then don't. Then get gone. Is that too harsh? Ben says it's uncomfortable. How frustrating for you not to have Sophie Devine and maybe Amelia Kerr as well, given the fact that they're playing the Big Bash. They're playing it today, and one of them is probably going to go through to the final this weekend.
Yeah, look, we've known that for a long time, and we were comfortable with that. Again, with the T20s, like I said, and not sort of counting for points and us trying to make sure that we've got really good combinations and know exactly who our best 11 is for Bangladesh. We were comfortable with maybe the fact that one or even two of our players might be missing just for that first game and give opportunities to others. So I still think we're going to put a really strong team out in that first match, and we've known this for months now. So we've planned for it. We're going to miss one of them. Obviously, they go up against each other tonight, but I think we've got a good enough team to make sure that we play really well on Sunday and obviously looking to win every time we play, but also it gives somebody else an opportunity. And again, on the flip side of that, for Sophie or Amelia, I think it's a great opportunity to play in another big match. And, we just spoke about big-time pressure and World Cups, and we wanted our girls, if they were in a final, to have that experience as well. So I think it's a bit of a win in both cases.
Well, that's great for them, but I mean, how does it look? And is it a bad look that once again we've got New Zealand cricketers who are choosing to play professionally for franchise sides and getting paid rather than play for their countries?
Well, look, it's a discussion that we've had with all our players, and we were comfortable with the fact that it was only one match and not a whole series, and also the fact that it gives us an opportunity to play other girls. So, we sat down with the players a while ago, and we were comfortable with the fact that it was just the one game, and that they would be available for then the majority of all the series except for that one match. So, it's a position that we were comfortable with.
I get all of that. When does it become uncomfortable for you, though? If they, miss two matches, miss a whole series?
Look, for me personally, especially around the ODI matches, and the fact that they are qualifying games for World Cups, I think we'd have to have discussions around those. But again, it's series by series, and I just think it's the nature of cricket at the moment that there's big-time money on offering franchise cricket, and we want our girls to have those opportunities. But I know how much playing for New Zealand means for these girls, and I think that they're always going to put that first. We were comfortable, like I said, with one game, and if it came to a point where we needed them, then, I am absolutely got no doubt about their commitment to New Zealand cricket.
How much say do you have in that, though, Ben?
Look, we've just sat down with, again, just being totally honest, we sat down with the WBBL girls and had a discussion around, what would it look about missing one game. I haven't looked much further ahead than that because this was a clash for this series. If there's another clash coming up, then we'll sit down and have that discussion as well. So we knew it was going to be a clash with one game, and we had that chat. At the moment, I don't think there's any more coming up. We're not exactly sure of the WPL schedule at the moment. I'm almost certain that doesn't clash with our next English series. So, but if it does, we'll sit down with the girls again and come up with a plan.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full.
The Tight Five.
5 separate sporting topics, around about a minute on each. When the bell, we move on to the next topic. Day one, Bangers versus Black Caps. Do they have the advantage here, Lachlan? 300 on the board. Tiger Woods presser, he wants to play till he can't win anymore. Well, when is that? T10, is cricket getting ridiculous? Yes. New Zealand cricket, both men and women, deciding they would rather play the T20 franchise than wear the silver fern. And it is blatant and obvious as that. Owen Franks is back for the Crusaders. Go on, lad. Would you have taken him to the World Cup? Whoa. Hey. Would we have? 138.94 yesterday. Your Lakers just... I mean, it's not a pants down.
Do we need to talk about that?
It's not a pants down. That's not wearing pants. You might as well have walked onto the court with little Willie out, because that's just embarrassing. That's your man LeBronny's worst ever defeatee. And puppies are an absolute chick magnet. I tell you what, I had a little puppy, and my little baby Presley, in the office with us for a few hours today. Every time I took him out for wee-wees or poo-poos, so you start talking like you. I just can't stand it. Okay, go wee-wees, go wee-wees. But all the women in the gym next door.
Not that it matters, Martin?
No.
Because when you get home, you're embracing the loving arms of a certain lovely lady, aren't you?
That's exactly right.
Yes.
I was just saying that the chicks like the puppy, mate. That doesn't mean that the guy holding the puppy likes the chicks.
I'm sure that chicks want to hear that as well, that their man is enjoying the attention.
It wasn't me getting the attention, pal. It was the puppy.
Well, yeah, it's like that episode of Kath and Kim where Brett takes his kid to work and he just makes sale after sale after sale and they all start loving him as well as the kid.
I must admit, actually, when I was married and I did have to take the children to Wellington once, I took the wedding ring off the finger at Auckland Airport and I did. Lachlan, shame on me. I acted as though I was a recently divorced husband who was struggling with the two children and they came running from every side of the airport to help.
Just piecing my life back together. The kids are helping. It's so hard
it's
sometimes.
It's called Lie Like a Guy. Day one, Bangers versus Black Caps, 310 for 9. Now, they were 2 for 180, Lachlan, so we wrestled it back, as Rahul said about an hour ago. But advantage them?
310's a good total, and they haven't been fully bowled out yet. And given its conditions that suit them, of course, much more than us being in the subcontinent, I'd give them the advantage. If we can get a quick wicket, as Rahul says, then absolutely, here we go.
But then we've got to bat for 2 days, mate. We've got to bat. Yeah, we do. We've got to bat all day today and all day tomorrow.
Oh, top text. I agree. Marty, let Lockie borrow the puppy. Come on. Young, strapping lad with a cute little puppy. Oh,
what is it with it? Okay, just please, one woman text in 5050 and let us know what is it about puppies. What is it that makes you go goo goo gaga about puppies?
Well, they love the puppies, but what they love is clearly the person with the puppy. So in this case, you or me or any other man.
Sensitive guy.
They've got a sensitive side because they're looking after a dog and raising a dog, and they love the companionship of another friend in their lives. I don't know, like they find it attractive.
Women, you just buy it, don't you? You buy the life. Champions League. Newcastle. In real time, I think no penalty, but on the replay, frame by frame, I'm thinking penalty, whereas you think the absolute reverse. You think in real time that's a penalty, but frame by frame.
It's based on the camera angle, the main camera angle, that in real time, the ball smacks the turf off of the Newcastle defender's body and it looks like it hits his arm. So in real time, if there's no VAR and I'm the referee and I'm looking at that angle, essentially, I'm thinking, that looks like a penalty. On the replay, the ball hits his chest or his stomach, this Newcastle defender, and bounces up and hits his elbow. Now, his arm isn't in an unnecessary or a strange position.
Yeah, that's what
his arms are just kind of up as if he's running.
The arm can't be in an unnatural position.
Unnatural, that's the word I'm looking for, unnatural. His arms are sort of up in the motion of running. So he's not doing anything out of the ordinary. So that's very unfortunate. But he can't really move them,
what's the answer here then? Because as soon as you
don't give the penalty. It's not a penalty.
As soon as you frame by frame it as well, what normally happens is that, you see, if you're looking at it in real time, your eyes are telling you what has happened. When you look at it in frame by frame slow motion, that's not what has actually happened, as bizarre as that kind of sounds, because, what you're looking at is you are looking at the minutiae of it without the circumstances around it. And, to me, this is the whole point of VAR, that we can sit here and both of us are looking at that and both of us disagree on it. So what's the answer? I'm going to get Miles back on this again because Miles is, to me, this is what he is actually 100% right and expert on. It is very simple. Ditch it. Go back to humans deciding the humanity of it, because the technology is meant to be 100% foolproof, and it would be, other than the fact that it's humans looking at the technology and then deciding.
I'd say more. Look, I don't know the exact sequence of offence, whether the referee immediately went to the screen or he was convinced to by player appeals or the VAR in his ear. But what I think the answer would be is give utter and total control to the referee, and the VAR is not in his ear, is not having any influence until he calls on them. So in this instance, The ref didn't give a penalty.
Okay, so he just runs away. The players surround him and he just goes,
sure.
no.
At least from the footage I saw.
So what you do is you leave it for the ref and the two linos, and if the linos don't throw the flag up, the ref can go over like he used to and ask them, did you see, what did you see? And then if the ref decides, or if the ref thinks, I'm not quite sure, I'll go over to the TV and look at the replay myself and decide. Yeah. Okay, well, mate, not a bad idea. All right, let's try that then next time, as if we got any influence on it. It's not that complicated, says Brenda. Women love small, cute things. It's not about the guy with the cute thing unless he is cute. It's actually about the cute thing, all right? Okay, well, that puts us
Does that bode well for us or what?
Tigers presser. He says he wants to play until he can't, quote, win anymore. Can he ever win another golf tournament?
Tournament, probably, yeah.
You think?
Well, there's probably a lower ranked PGA one that other players aren't putting as much emphasis on.
Okay,
so sneak in and win.
What about another major?
Yeah,
I thought it was incredible that he won the Masters a couple of years back.
2019.
After, a 10-year gap since he had won
No,
11-year gap, because it was 2008.
Since he won a Masters, it was about a 6-year gap since he'd won a major. He won majors in 2013.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
No, he didn't.
Hold up.
2009 was the last one, and I think he lost the PGA.
Actually, I think you're right. Then I was looking at a really strange stat sheet this morning.
It was over 10 years, mate.
Sorry, you're right. It was 2008 was his last major one. What was I looking at then?
Incredible that he won again, and I was kind of hoping he might hang the clubs up and go, okay, that's it. I've climbed Everest twice now, or for 15 times as a matter of fact. So, but yeah, in terms of winning another major, look, the thing with golf and men's professional golf, there's 100 players on the tour, and I suppose I'll add the Live Golf guys in on that as well, that are all capable of, on their day, doing the Ryan Fox at Wentworth, right, and playing amazing golf and winning. And so you've got to beat all of those guys. It's not just one guy or two guys or 10 guys. It's 100 guys that are all that good.
Yeah, but there's for as many guys that are peaking and performing well in the latter stages of a major, there's also a massive chunk of players who aren't. I mean, when you think of what sort of the 10 to 15 best golfers in the world, and then you go through every single major of the last 2 or 3 years, it isn't as if all 10 to 15 of those guys are in the hunt for it by the end. There's always a good 6 or 7 of that group who aren't in contention, and some of them even get cut. So there's randomly some blokes who kind of come out of nowhere and are in contention.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. The top 100 are all capable, mate.
They are. And yeah. So, I mean, I don't think he can win another major.
I don't think so. I don't think he can win another. 138 to 94. Bron's worst ever defeat on a basketball.
But he set a minutes record. That was the headline on an article I saw today. LeBron James sets NBA minutes record in heavy loss to 76.
You play 82 regulation season games, and most of these teams tank a lot of games in the NBA. Does it really mean that much? I mean, they could turn around. We've seen this in playoff series as well. No, because you could turn around.
We lost by 44.
Yeah, but you win the next game, and it doesn't matter that much.
No, you can't lose by. If we lost by 10, I'd sort of agree with that. We lost by 44.
That means you players gave up at the end, right?
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, because we were. It was one of the third or fourth quarters. I think it was the third. We were outscored terribly. No, it might have been the fourth. And LeBron James said post-game that a lot needs to change. So it's not as if
here we go.
This means that guys are getting traded.
You're the guy that's made all the changes, mate.
Yeah.
You're the guy that chops out and changes, mate.
This is the problem I have, is that the team gets changed up every single year. I mean, the Lakers roster from 2 years ago to now only has 2 players on it. I mean, there's only 2 guys on this roster that won the championship only 3 years ago.
And that was him that's done this, mate.
Yeah, this is what I hate about him. He goes in and he totally changes.
How can you hate him? He won a title for you.
Yeah, but we should be there or thereabouts of making the NBA Finals every year if he's on our team. I mean, if he was in Miami, imagine we go back to when he was in Miami or in Cleveland. When he was there, and let's say he got to the Finals, won a championship, but the other 3 years they were poop and finished like 7th, 8th or 9th. I mean, his legacy would be tarnished, and that's what's happened at the Lakers. But because he won that title in Cleveland, everyone's like, he's cemented. He's otherworldly.
He's not the GOAT.
He's immortal.
Final topic before we go to Ben Sawyer. New Zealand cricketers, both men and women, are increasingly choosing to play the franchise leagues over representing their country. Now, we've had this debate with the men over many years, and now it's started with the women, and we have to treat both exactly the same. And I got to say, I think it sucks. You know, it used to be that with the men, if you went and played the Big Bash, you were only allowed to play up until the New Zealand team was playing, and then you had to leave your side, right? And yet now, Amelia Kerr and Sophie Devine, our two best players, are playing tonight in the Big Bash, Women's Big Bash. One of them goes through to the final to play Adelaide, so one of them's coming home. And they are allowed this dispensation. You know, I just look at New Zealand cricket, and, you know, you're going down the New Zealand rugby path here at the moment. How the hell are we meant to be interested? Why should we be committed to the team when the players are not? They're committed to the cash and they're committed to the bank balance. And don't tell me anything else about it, because that's the bloody truth. And look, that's okay if that's the case. But just stop feeding us this line about how desperate we are to play for our country and representing the Silver Fern and everything else.
Expand women's
you are
cricket in this
desperate
country.
to earn the cash is what you are.
Well, this was proven to us when Ruby Tui, after the World Cup...
crap last week where she comes back and she says, oh, I want to, you know, my legacy in New Zealand and leave this behind and everything else. Well, why didn't you do that after the World Cup and stay here for a year?
Why did you instead take a big money TV deal and then go and play overseas?
Schoolgirl bloody sevens or something. It's a year too late, Ruby.
Which is
the horse
fine.
is already bolted.
Look, that's fine. If you want to cash in on yourself,
you do it.
that's all
but
good.
Then don't come out
be
with all
honest
the crap
about it.
afterwards.
But don't talk to us about how much you want to grow the game, how New Zealand needs to get behind you and banging this drum.
No. You ran as soon as you could. As soon as you saw the dollar signs, you went running towards them.
I think it's very simple. What you got to do if you're New Zealand cricket and New Zealand rugby in many ways as well, but in this case, New Zealand cricket, if I'm Ben Sawyer, the coach, I'm saying if Sophie Devine and Amelia Kerr, the two players who are playing in this Big Bash playoff tonight, and one of them makes the final because they're in opposing teams, I'll say to both of them, great, that's fine. If you really want to play this match, that's fine, but you're not playing for the rest of the white ball series against Pakistan.
No.
All 6 matches, you're
That's
out.
it.
Of
You're out.
Because this jersey, this silver fin should mean the most to you. And if it doesn't, then I don't want you in this team.
And also the fact
even
is
if that's
that
Devine,
this team has been performing really poorly. We didn't even make it out of the group stage at the T20 World Cup. You know, clinging to a couple of innings during the South African series.
Yeah.
You know, it's still a fledgling sport. If the only thing that matters to you is cashing in on it, well, good. Go and do that. But I'm saying you give up your New Zealand jersey at that stage. I'm totally with you on that.
And this is where player empowerment's gone a bit far. The players can say, I want to do this, I want to do that. And the sports administrators pandered to it. It's happening all around the world. It's happening in New Zealand. It happened with Trent Bolt. It's happened with a couple of our black Ferns, our big name black Ferns.
I never wanted Bolt to come back and play T20.
Yeah, you did.
I never wanted him to come back for the 50 over.
You did. He wasn't even that good at the World Cup. First match he was all right, and then he was poop after that.
Simon Doull is calling the 10s. I mean, how many cricket formats is there, for goodness sake? I mean, you got Test cricket. Oh, no one cares about that anymore. You got 4-day cricket. Who even plays that anymore? You got T20. You got the 100s. You got 10s. What's all that about? And why should we care about it? Here's Dooley. Dooley, so you've been doing the 10s. Where is it and what is it?
Abu Dhabi T10s, mate. So it's the shortest official format of cricket at the moment. So it's supposed to be done in sort of 45 minutes per innings, 45 to 50 minutes per innings. Short and sharp, 2 games today and then 3 games for the rest of the next, 10 days of the tournament. So she's all over and done with inside of 11 to 12 days, which is nice, but a bit of fun.
So who's playing in it then?
Gosh, mate, all of the usual suspects, I suppose, when you think about who plays the short format games around the world, the Pollards, the Andre Russell, Sonny on the Rhines, a lot of the English guys, sort of the next tier down English guys, I suppose you'd say, the Luke Woods, Tom Kohler-Cadmore, who had a great outing today, Quinton de Kock here, Trent Bolt played today, James Neesham, Colin Munro, action today, so a few Kiwis floating around as well.
Okay, and so 10 overs. So how many do you bowl?
2 overs apiece. If you go for under 10s or around about 10, 11 and over, you've actually done a pretty good job. Average sort of scores in that 120, 125 mark. You're close to winning a lot of games. But, we have seen some mammoth scores at different times on certain pitches here in Abu Dhabi. So I think they'll get better as the tournament goes on. But one was good enough to win the first game today, and 103 was good enough to win the second game. So a bit of a low-scoring day on day number 1.
So hang on a second, I'm just trying to get my head around this. So we've got Test cricket. Okay, let's park that. Now the shortened forms of the game, we've got the 50-over game because we just had the one-day World Cup, of course. You were there in India for that. And then we've got T20. Then we've got the 100s. Now we've got 10s, which is effectively just 60 balls each.
Yep, exactly, mate. So now there's another form. So the guy that sort of started this one over here in Abu Dhabi, Shaji Ulmuk, he's taken it to Zimbabwe now. Zimbabwe got T10 comp there. There was one in the US earlier this year as well. There's one in Sri Lanka. So he's got 3 or 4 tournaments around the world at the moment. And, looking to sort of, I guess, move into more areas.
Before we even get on to Bangladesh versus New Zealand, another Maxwell masterclass last night, the T20 series, India versus Australia. I'm finding it difficult to get interested in this because we have just had the One-Day World Cup. But when a guy hits another innings like that, like I remember 201, we all do against Afghanistan, and that was off 128 balls. But the remarkable thing, 21 fours, 10 sixes, so 144 off 31. And then he does it again overnight, 104 not out off 48, 8 fours, 8 sixes, so 80 off boundaries. 43 runs, Doull. I know I'm peppering you with stats here, but 43 runs off the last 2 overs in a T20 game. And it's not like he's just swinging the bat. He's actually hitting these shots.
Yeah, he's been unbelievable of late, hasn't he? It's a funny thing. It's the wrong word to use, Marty, but you notice with some people when life off the field, off the court, off the pitch, whatever you want to call it, in any sport, any format of the game we play, and any sport we play, when life off the ground or off your sporting arena is in check and everything's nice and calm and, baby born in the last year and a half, everything off the park is going great for him. It's just sort of transferring onto the field. He's just enjoying his cricket. He's had that time off. He spoke quite openly about the mental health issues and needing to take time away from the game. And he just seems to have come back in a really good frame of mind. Everything in his life seems to be cruising along quite nicely at the moment. And he's really loving his cricket. His bowling was exceptional in the first half of that World Cup for Australia. He was probably the key bowler in that first sort of 4 or 5 games. And then the batting certainly came right at certain times as well. So he's just a cricketer who seems to be really relishing where he's at the moment, on and off the field. And he's reaping rewards. And, you can look at that Indian bowling attack and say it is not their best bowling attack, but that's what they're going to have to move forward with in the next few years outside of Siraj, who probably would bolt back into that side. It's what they're going to have to move forward with because, Shami's not going to be around for the next World Cup, probably not the next T20. Bumrah's maybe only got one more left in him. So, it's still a decent bowling attack that he's plundering to all parts.
What happens to the one-day cricket now in the world, mate, after the World Cup? Do we just park it and shelve it? I know you got series in that happened in England, but the 50-over game, where does it fit in?
Yeah, look, it struggles to fit in. A T20 World Cup coming up next year, so there'll be a lot more T20 games played. I would think next year you'll see sides playing very little ODI cricket leading into that World Cup in the US and the West Indies. And then, whether they build up to a Champions Trophy and play a little bit more. I don't see anywhere near as much of it being played in the next 3, 4, 5 years, even leading into a World Cup year. So I don't like it as such, but it just becomes played a lot less in the next few years, and particularly next year leading into that T20 World Cup. But it's not going to be parked.
It's just not as relevant, or is there just no time for it?
I think time and boards and money. Test cricket costs the most money. It costs boards more and more money, and that's why a lot of the sort of boards ranked 7, 8, 9 are reluctant to play it. Ireland game test status, they don't even have a first-class structure. Zimbabwe's first-class structure is struggling. Sri Lanka's structure is not quite what it once was. So West Indies is much the same. So, it costs so much for a board to put on a test match. It costs, probably 1/5 of that to put on a T20, and it makes twice as much money as a 5-day test would ever make. So you think about the cost per minute of television, and T20 just makes sense to all the boards now. And is it right? Absolutely not in my mind, but it just seems to be the way these things are going, and boards are all about making money and keeping the game alive. And, with all these things happening in the world at the moment where pay parity is coming in for the women's and the men's game, we've got to remember that someone's got to prop that up, because at the moment, particularly in New Zealand, the women's game doesn't make any money. And so the New Zealand Cricket Board has to subsidise every bit of money that comes out of the men's game to pay for the women's game. And so how do they do that? They make money by playing T20 cricket. And so I can understand why it will happen. But I'm not saying I agree with the principles around it.
To hear the full interview, download the platform at the App Store. Via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to the whole show and all of the interviews in full. Brendan Telfer, the BTE, the Brendan Telfer Experience. Brendan joins us every Wednesday on the program, courtesy of JK's World of Golf 24/7. Go and bang a box of balls and go berserk. They're right there by Auckland Airport. Is it Tiger who? I mean, Brendan says, no, he's not the face of golf anymore. Tiger Woods today doing a press conference, and he's saying he wants to keep playing till he thinks he can no longer win. And Brendan also not happy with Greg Peters, NZRL CEO, saying Madge Maguire can't do both jobs, Blues and Kiwis. Telf explains why. New Zealand Rugby League are reckoning that Madge couldn't do both jobs, and you reckon this is a big mistake?
Well, I don't get this at all. I mean, if I've got it right, New Zealand Rugby League had no problem with Maguire coaching an NRL club side in New South Wales and the Kiwis, but apparently they don't want him coaching New South Wales and the Kiwis.
Yeah.
The logic of that escapes me a little. I would have thought that the objection would have been more to the club side, because that, you're having to coach a team for basically 8, 10, 11 months of the year, whereas New South Wales, correct me if I'm wrong, is 3 matches, 240 minutes of football all over in 5 weeks.
Yep.
But in fact, I was gobsmacked in a way when I saw Greg Peters on television 4 or 5 days ago. I wouldn't say he was sounding arrogant, but he had a dismissive tone about it, basically saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, Madge, this is the deal. We're not negotiating. There's no room for compromise. You're either our coach or you're the New South Wales coach in State of Origin, but you can't do both." And I'm thinking, we're 2 years away from the next Rugby League World Cup. This guy's done a fantastic job with the Kiwis. You think where they were when he came on board in 2017 or 18, beaten by Tonga and Fiji. I seem to recall at the last Rugby League World Cup. And now, 3 weeks ago, posting the biggest victory against Australia in a Rugby League international by a Kiwi side for 75 years.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean anything. I mean, I think what they should have said to him was, well, Mike, if you want to do this and you are sure you can do it, and we trust you, we've got faith in you, you're a highly intelligent guy, you've got a very good track record, let's just trial it for 2024. We have some reservations. Ideally, we'd like you to be our guy for 12 months of the year, but come on. I mean, do you really need to have someone at a job 9 till 5, 5 days a week for 12 months of the year for three games of rugby league? I went back and had a look at the number of matches or tests that Maguire has had in his role as coach of the Kiwis, and I think he's had 18 in 6 years. So he's averaging 3 matches a year, and along with 3 State of Origin, 6 games of rugby league, and that's impossible for a guy of his calibre to do.
Monty Beetham was on the program. He's a selector, and he's saying he wasn't in favour of it. And there's all kinds of rumours and reports in the background, Brendan, that a group of past players put a lot of pressure on the Kiwi board. Now, Greg Peters denied that to us on Monday when we asked about it, and he said, no, they didn't. They just canvassed opinion. But he also made this point, which I disagree with as well, and I'm sure that you do, saying that, hey, look, there's a conflict of interest if Maguire's in the dressing room talking to Tedesco after a Roosters game about Origin, and then he's got Joey Manu there and he can't talk to him. I think the guy could put a different hat on and also shut it down for 3. Well, what's Origin? Origin goes for 3 matches. It goes over about a month. You got a couple of months before that. 6 games a year. And also don't forget that we had Daniel Anderson coaching both the Kiwis and the Warriors, I think, as well. So, I mean, it is peculiar and confusing, and it just makes you think that there is something more in the background. Tiger Woods had a press conference. Sorry.
On that question of the ex-players, there was a very good piece this morning in the Herald from Karen Foran, who's come out and said Madge could easily do both jobs, but he was being political and saying, but I understand, New Zealand Rugby League probably had other issues, but he went on and he gave this extraordinary basically CV of this guy's work that he's been there. He said his performance with the Kiwis has been nothing short of extraordinary. His determination, his passion, his ethics, his attempt to understand New Zealand and Pacifica culture. He said he's got this team really a very tight unit. Perfect sort of build-up 2 years out from the Rugby League World Cup. Along comes the board of New Zealand Rugby League and says, the silly excuse they put, oh, no, we can't have him coaching New South Wales for 3 games, they may well be sacrificing any real chance that the Kiwis had of winning the Rugby League World Cup if they don't stick with this guy.
Yeah, the other thing he didn't mention there was tactics. He's got his tactics exactly right. You've got to remember when we beat Australia, Brendan, they dicked us the week before.
Yeah.
But the way that he actually bounced back and convinced the players that they could win and also attacked them on the flanks where they were weak. Yeah, I thought it was absolutely brilliant from the tactical point of view.
I thought when I was seeing this piece on television the other night, I thought, Greg Peters has changed jobs. He's now the CEO of New Zealand football, because this is the sort of thing that New Zealand football does, shooting themselves in the foot, blindingly unaware of the obvious. And this is another example of that in New Zealand sport. I mean, anyway.
Tiger Woods, let's talk about him. Press conference today. We played a lot of audio from it. He says that he's only going to retire when he feels like he can't win again. Now, I texted you today and I said, Tiger. You said, Tiger who? He's no longer the face of golf. Tell me who is the face of golf. This guy is still the biggest box office. He's still the guy, mate. Everyone still wants to know and wants to hear from him.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't say he was no longer the face of golf, but what I'm saying, he will never win another major championship. I have no doubt about that. In fact, it's doubtful if he can play 1 round of golf, let alone 4. He's teeing it up in the next week or so in this, hit and giggle father and son thing, okay, that's fine. And I think he's going to walk, or he'll be in a car for some of it or something. But yes, I mean, the American media, golf media, are still utterly obsessed and just hopelessly addicted to everything that comes out of Tiger's mouth. So if he says, I still want to play, it's a big story. And there's no doubt about it. If he teed it up in a PGA Tour event next week, even if he didn't make the cut, which he probably wouldn't, the ratings would go through the roof. Spectator numbers would go through the roof as well. The turnstiles would be clicking for 2 days. That's the kind of mania that associated with Tiger Woods. But as a golfer, his world ranking, he's not even in the top 1,000.
Well, that's because he hasn't played since the Masters, So, I mean, look, I don't think it's in dispute that, he isn't who he was. And there's no, I mean, he couldn't even win a PGA tournament now because, I mean, for a start, can his body actually, as you say, sustain 4 rounds? That's our podcast for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to listen to the entire show, 1 till 4, Monday to Friday, download the Platform app, and via Platform Plus, you can go back and listen to whatever shows over however many weeks at your leisure, at your listening pleasure. Platform Plus. First thing to do, though, is download the Platform app.
Devlin.
Unbelievable. Incredible.
The Platform.